Next we have Carrie Ernst. She's the Executive Director of Independent Living Nova Scotia, a disability advocate and strategic planner of supportive programming. So our question for you this evening is, how are the housing needs of people with severe physical disabilities different than the average person?
Thanks so much. I was glad that Jen gave me a specific question because when she asked me to sit on the panel, I just figured I was going to be able to just talk about what I'm passionate about.
5 minutes.
I know. Well, so I know. Okay, I have to focus. So, in comparing the housing needs of persons with disabilities and the average person, I've chosen to discuss 4 separate but interrelated concerns that continue to create systemic barriers for persons with disabilities in our community. The first barrier of discussion is income, and Claire touched on that. The 2012 Canadian Survey on Disability from StatsCan cites the employment rate for persons with a severe physical disability in Nova Scotia is about 42.9%, 25.8% for those with very severe disabilities, compared to the employment rate of 72.5% for Nova Scotians without a disability. Many of the people with severe physical disabilities either continue to have systemic barriers to employment or are unable to work. Needless to say, the level of income for these persons with disabilities is generally much lower than their able-bodied counterparts. The next barrier is the access to affordable and accessible housing. Although there would appear to be continuous construction of new rentals and condo units in Halifax, the affordable, accessible housing continues to be a barrier for persons with disabilities and their advocates. Many of the existing units can cost anywhere between $1,200 and $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom and are not financially feasible options for persons with severe physical disabilities, of whom many have a lower income. Thirdly, directly related to the cost of an accessible unit is the barrier of the amount of space or the square footage required in order to properly develop an accessible unit. In a densely populated area like the Halifax Peninsula, a space is hard to come by, and one item companies use to calculate rental charges is the square footage of the space. More square footage means a higher cost. This is yet another example of systemic barriers for accessible housing for persons with disabilities. An able-bodied person can choose to live in a smaller space for a lower rental cost. The physical space needed for accessibility is outside the control of the person with a severe physical disability. Finally, access to services like home care and personal care are often another considerable factor of how housing needs differ for a person with a severe physical disability compared to the average person. Although there are government programs in place such as the provincially funded home care and self-managed care, consumers with severe physical disabilities are voicing concern that these programs, even at their maximum funding allotment, do not cover the care that they need. Many of the people with severe physical disabilities require 24-hour non-medical or personal care. The before-mentioned public programs at the maximum level only cover 7 hours of care per day, which leaves any other necessary costs to be assumed by the individual. These additional costs to be able to live independently are non-existent for the average person, but yet any other barrier for persons with severe physical disabilities. When these barriers, and there are many more ones that I want to discuss here tonight at the panel, but I only have 5 minutes.
Just saying.
Add up. An individual is left with next to no options to foster dignity and independence. Many individuals are faced with the decision this entire panel of experts are here to discuss, to be warehoused or institutionalized because the system has not only failed them, but can actively work against them and their needs. Our housing strategy for persons with severe physical disabilities is in need of reform. And I guess I'm going to state the United Nations Human Rights Article 19 again. The rights to live independently and be included in the community emanates from the core human rights principle that all humans are born equal in dignity and rights. Through promoting, enabling, and inclusive environments for all, including persons with disabilities, it aims to prevent abandonment and segregation, and to enable the full development of personality and capabilities of persons with disabilities. It is founded on the general principles of the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, including the respect for inherent dignity, individual autonomy, and independence for the of persons with disabilities, and their full and effective participation and inclusion in society. For those of you that are affected in any way, shape, or form, whether it be directly or indirectly, we at Independent Living are going to ask folks to take a look at our website or our Facebook page. We are collecting statistics on this due to some work that we're doing right now on a business model around 24/7 shared attendant care. So there will be a survey available for folks if you can take 10 or 15 minutes to fill that out so that we've got some information to compile and present to government. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Carrie.